everyone, welcome to Painting with Mark. I'm MarkPlante, and today we're going to do layers. So, I've already done a couple of videos on basically your prep and your setup for when you want to paint. We're actually going to put paint on the canvas today. What we're going to discuss here is, or what I'm going to show you, and discuss, I guess would be the proper way to say it, is layers. When you're painting a subject, I like to paint by using 3 layers. You're going to paint your background first, then your subject, and then your foreground. What this does is it gives quite a bit of depth to your picture. Using acrylics, it's really the best way to do it. When you paint with oil, oils blend so well that you really don't need to do as much depth. You'll understand when we get further on, when we get into oil paints. But with acrylics, you really want to do this depth. It's equivalent to using depth of field in photography, or they also call it bokeh. So rather than talking about it, doing a whole spiel, I've done a blog post on how I use the depth when creating an image. So if you go over to my blog and check out the post on layers, it'll be self-explanatory. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to cut away and we're going to come back, and I'm going to actually be putting paint on the canvas. Alright, so I am at the desk right now. I have everything all set up. I've got my water, I've got my paints, my brushes, and my canvas is all set. So let's get started painting. First thing that I want to do is I've got my canvas set up. It is pre-primered, so I don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to improvise a picture basically from my mind. So it's a great way to start painting, because you can get frustrated painting, trying to do an exact image. So just a general landscape portrait I'm going to paint here. So what I'm going to need for the background is I need my 2-inch brush, I need my 1-inch brush, and what we're going to do is basically we're going to do the sky. So what I'm going to do first is look for a color. So we're going to go with this Mediterranean blue, and we'll mix that with some white. Okay, we'll use the 1-inch to mix it up. Okay, so I could either use the 2-inch or the 1-inch brush for this, so we'll start out with the 1-inch. And just put some paint on the canvas here. Okay, and what I do with this here is you lay it on thick. I use an X stroke on it. Okay, make sure it's nice and thick. Alright, so we have plenty on there. Make sure you put it, rinse your brush. Okay, and what you do is let's take a dry 2-inch brush and just spread the paint evenly across the canvas. Okay, so there we have the sky. You're doing a painting, we'll get into it in a further episode, is you don't want to put your horizon directly in the middle. You either want to put it in the top third or the bottom third. So with this image here, I'm going to put it in the bottom third, and what I will do for this here is basically going to be, I figure probably like a grassy meadow. Mix that in. Now that's a really bright green, a lot brighter than I wanted. So we're going to tone it down a little bit. Put a little bit of brown in this, and again we mix up the paint. Gives it more of an earthly color here. That should be enough, I think. Be a mix of the brown and the green, so we'll spread that down here. Yeah, that's a good green. take out a 2-inch here, clear the water off of it, and let's spread out our ground here. When we do detail, we'll get a little bit more into it. Alright, so what I have to do now is I have to wait for the background to dry just a little bit. And like I said, with acrylics, they dry very fast. So it'll probably take about 10 or 15 minutes for this to dry. Okay, so the background now is dried enough where I can do a little bit more of a background layer. What I'm going to do is add some mountains into the background here. Not really going to need too much for this. I have a purple, so I won't have to mix. Take that. What we'll do, let's do a rough outline of some mountains. I know you're probably watching going, oh, that really doesn't look like much. Well, it really doesn't, because this isn't going to be your focus. This is actually just going to be blurred into the background. Then we get our 2-inch brush. And what we do, mix those in. Again, don't worry about the streaks. Take care of those later. Those blend right in there. Let's do a little bit of shading on some of them. And remember, when you're doing your shading, that's basically shadows, okay? So whatever angle that you have the shadows coming from, so basically with this picture here, the light is coming this way, so the darker sides are the shadows. So you make sure that you remember that throughout the painting, or it really will look funny. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry for a couple of seconds here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is, so that I don't have a line there, I put some trees in the background, and that's done very easily. Just put the paint on your brush and dab. Alright, so what we're doing right now is we're going to let it dry a little bit more. And what I think we'll do right now, we're going to add some clouds in. So we're going to take our fan brush, and we're going to put a little bit of white on the palette. Okay, very little bit. And then with the fan brush, just kind of add it in. And then we kind of dab them in. I think 2's good. I don't want to put too many. Put little streaks up here. Okay, and what you can do also, if you want, is to clean up the edges. Add a little bit of snow to the mountaintops. Alright, so with the background drying right now, just check this foreground. It's damp. Actually, no. That is dry right now, so we can work with that. Let's clean the white off here. So now what we got to do is decide what are we going to have as our subject, because we pretty much got the background on. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's see if this technique works. I've seen it done. This is a harder, it's about a 1/2 inch brush. Let's see if I can blend this paint just a little bit for the cloud. That works nice. It's not so, you'll see edges on it. Yeah, that looks a little nicer. Okay, always clean your brush. Okay, so now what we got to figure out is what are we going to put for the subject down here. We could do a nice stream. Now, with a stream, you have to take perspective into consideration with it. So, what I mean by perspective is you're not going to have the stream coming right in the middle here. Probably going to have it come and kind of wind in. So, let's start. What color do I want to use? I'm going to use phthalo green for the stream. Only need a touch of this. Okay. Now this is a higher quality paint that I'm using here. So what we're going to do is let's get this brush, load up our brush. We'll start right over here. We'll come there and see how when it comes around, when the stream's flowing across, you're really not going to, it'll be thin, but as it comes towards you, it gets wider. That'll be a quick turn there. This will go off the screen over somewhere like this. Okay, so basically the subject of this painting will be the stream. So we'll let this dry for a little bit because this phthalo green being a higher quality is going to take probably a little while longer to dry than the rest. So let's make sure everything's dry before we do anything else. Alright, so we got most of the background done. Well, actually all of the background done. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on a subject layer right now. This is basically what the painting is. All the rest is, surrounding area. So, not sure what I'm going to do here. I know I'm going to have to do something with this stream, add some details to it. But what I figure is, right about in here, that'd probably be a nice spot for like an old barn. Still got the red on here. And what we're going to do, let's add a little bit of brown to it. Just a dab. Okay, I'll give it that weathered look. So what we'll do is we'll grab our 1-inch brush here. Mix that nice. Oh yeah, that's going to be a good color. And what we're going to do is just get the general shape of the barn. Figure out where we're going to paint it. So, I figure, let's go right about here. The front part of it. Remember your angles. Okay, remember perception at the further sun goes away from you. And like that. The further it goes away from you, the smaller it gets. Sorry, I didn't finish my thought there. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but when we add some details to it, that'll be nice. Alright, so we're gonna get down and let's do some details in the stream here while we're waiting for the barn to dry. Let's add a little detail. We're going to put a little bit of brown on the palette here. Just a dab, don't need much. Of course, every stream or body of water has a shore. Okay, so we're going in here. So, of course, you're not going to see as much the further away it goes. It's going to create some current in the stream. Create a waterfall. Further away, you're really not going to see as much detail, obviously. That's all set, so we're going to get even more detailed brush here. There it is. And let's start working on, we'll work on the barn here. So this part here is extremely difficult for me, so bear with me here. I have very shaky hands. So for me to do a straight line is hard. This is basically the trim board that I'm doing right now. And the red's not completely dry. That's why I'm kind of smearing here. For that, we're going to need to let it dry a little bit more. So, add a little bit of black on our palette here. Okay, try to always keep your angles all the same. Okay, don't be afraid to put paint on the brush. Problem I'm running into, like I said, the red paint's not dry. Wait for it to dry just a bit there. So while we're waiting for it to dry, what I can do is add a little bit of detail here in the background. Okay, add a little bit more detail here. Yeah, a little bit of color shading. What we're going to do later is we'll go in and we'll add the shading for the light. Like I had said on the mountains, the light is coming in this way. So we'll do that a little bit later. And then what we'll do here is we're going to take the yellow. Let's mix a color here. This is going to go at the base of our tree so it's not as rough. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, it's dried a little bit more there. You gotta put plenty of paint on your brush. Like I said, don't be afraid to do that. I get nervous doing it because, like I said, my hands are so shaky, it's difficult. Okay, and we'll clean that off. And what we can do right now, of course, the barn's roof is not going to be red. Well, it could be. It's your barn, however you paint it, but I'm going to go with brown. Probably should have done the brown before I did the trim board there. Like I said, don't be afraid to put that paint on the brush. Fill in the field here. Slide it in. Go right over here, and what that'll do, mix the black in. It'll give a little bit of shadow. And let's add a little more black to this door. There we go, that's a lot better. And like I said, we wanted this to be like a dilapidated barn, so your edges don't have to be perfect. We'll add a window there. And a window there. I'm going to use this brush because it's got a flat edge. It's going to be thinner because it's further away. Let's go. Over that. And I think I just got green paint all over my arm. Like I said, when you're painting, make sure that you have clothes on that you can make a mess with, because you will. Like that. Now the edges on the ground there I'm not going to be too concerned about because I'll show you a trick. Like I said, I have very, very shaky hands. Oop, my camera got disheveled there. I'm on an angle. Let's see if that works. That's a little better. I'm straight here. So I think that the black windows have dried. So add some trim to those. Again, this is your own artwork. It doesn't have to be perfect. And this one here, like I said, I'm making this up in my mind. So anything can happen. As the late great Bob Ross said, no mistakes, just happy accidents. And he's right. I mean, you can create whatever you want to create. It's all with practice. Just takes practice. You know, nothing better than just sitting nice and quiet, no one bugging you, and creating your own little world here. And Oops, I gotta get a trim around that door. Actually, my shaky hands work pretty well for this because I kind of want to look at it like it's a little disheveled and a mess. Alright, so that's our basic subject right now. I'm not going for an incredible detail on this right now. It's just I wanted to show you, give you examples of layers and see how it looks. So, like I said, around the bottom of the barn here, let's make it look a little more realistic. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of the yellow, mix in with a little bit of this darker green. Okay. Let's just put some, could be trees, could be something else. We'll mix a little phthalo green in with the yellow. And with this green. There we go. That's, phthalo green is more of a blue. So we'll get big bush right there. Another one right there, and some brush back there. So there's a lot of brush around there. Like I said, it's an old barn. Okay, so that's basically our subject now. So what we need to do next is we need to put something in the foreground that'll give it a little bit more dimension. What I generally use in the foreground, and it's quite simple, is trees. I generally put trees in the foreground. So I already have my brown out, and we got the fan brush here. Let's load that up with some paint, and let's put just a basic tree trunk. We need to do a little bit more. Okay. So now what we're going to do is let's put the leaves on it. And do is just mix a little bit of black in there to get that. What we do is so we got a nice fir tree right there. A little more brown out. I'm going to use most of it up. Nice tree right over here. Okay. And this, we'll go with a lighter green. Just do a touch of the phthalo in it. And you want a ton of paint on your brush for this. I think I want get more of this green. There we go. A little bit more. Okay. What I'm going to do, let me clean this brush. Get this one here. Is we're going to do just some touches of this lighter green. Give it a 3-dimension, the color shading. So that has a little bit of shading to it now. So I'm pretty close to being done right now. One more thing that I need to do the shading on the two trees in the foreground. Let's do a little bit of shading in the background here. Stands out just a touch. Okay. And to be honest, the last thing that I'm going to need to do is let's get a little bit of black, very little, right over here. Just do a little bit of shading here. The shadows in there. Let's do a little up here. Very little darkness. Just, when you look at a tree, it's not completely green, so you know, a little bit of this lightness down here. Right. All right. Every artist should add their signature, and you put it on there so that everyone knows that it's yours. And that's mine. That's how I sign all of my pictures, down on the bottom there. So I've got this all set up, needs to dry, and I put a clear coat on it, but we should be pretty much all set. So be right back with you, and we'll close out this video. All right, everyone, I'm done with the painting. Came out okay for a quick painting. I spent maybe about an hour on this. So yeah, it's the thing I love with the acrylic painting is it doesn't take that long to create a painting. Again, be nice in your comments. I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. I enjoy doing this type of painting, but this was just, I wanted to demonstrate how to paint in layers. What we'll do in upcoming episodes is talk about composition, the rule of threes, and those sort of things. But for now, just paint. Go out, get some canvas. You don't even need canvas. Get some paper. Draw a picture. Paint a picture. Just create something. Create something of your own, and trust me, you will be amazed what you can make. It's. I never thought that. I mean, like I said, some people may look at this and it's garbage, but to me, something that I created this quickly, I never thought I could do it. So just take that first step, go out there and paint. So thanks for watching this video. I do appreciate it. If you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up button in the bottom there. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing more videos like this, different paintings, different styles and such, working all the way up through watercolors, oils, pastels, everything. If you already subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. If you hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button, you'll get a notification anytime I put up a new video. So I've got to clean this mess up now. That's the worst part of painting, is doing the cleanup. But I got it cleaned up. And I will see you guys real soon. Please, just go out and create.